proceed, I'll turn it over to the county administrator to tell how we'll proceed by the phone or WebEx.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have guests joining us via WebEx. We are meeting at 555 Bay Road in Dover, and we will be proceeding with a committee meeting under the Levy Court adopted rules for committee meetings. For our guests who are on the internet via WebEx or on the phone line via WebEx, we will provide instruction throughout the meeting at the appropriate times for public comment. With committee meeting items, we don't engage in a public hearing or entertain comments on each item on the agenda as they are presented, but at the end of each committee there is an opportunity for public comment. And so for those guests who are using a mobile phone via WebEx, you can press *3 and it will raise an electronic hand here at our console, and we can then bring you into the meeting room virtually, and you can address Levy Court at that time. And if you're on a computer, there's a raise hand icon, same situation. If you select that, it'll indicate to our operator that you wish to address Levy Court. Again, this is not a public hearing, so we will not be swearing people who speak in. It's just an opportunity to provide comment on subject items that are on that committee agenda. And we'll proceed along those lines and provide additional instruction at those appropriate times. Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you. Commissioner Angel, are you joining us tonight by phone?
Yes.
Thank you. We have 6 commissioners present here in the chambers, and Commissioner Angel is joining us via phone. At this time, under advisement of our counsel, we'll be taking a brief executive session to discuss litigation, and immediately following that, we'll be right back here to resume the committee meetings. So at this time, we will be adjourned to the executive session. Like I said, we will be back in a few minutes after the discussion of the topic. So I'll be right back.
Right here. Mr. Anderson.
Hi, I'm Diana.
Hi, Diana. How are you? Nice to meet you. All good?
Great. I didn't know if Ms. Silverman was outside the doorway.
Okay.
Grab that for you.
Yeah.
Parcel is 14. Right. Is the one that butts the city of Overland. Because that portion of the air base is in city of Overland. I know, I can see, so it would make a difference from the standpoint of cost, certainly, but, yeah. The point of going to I know that some of the commissioners do like to have that input, but are you looking at it on the slide? What are you having them look at? The legal question is whether these guys are gonna let it pass. different from the map that we looked at. So I said I was training groups.
Right here.
And the green, or this is the group center.
Oh, that's right here, okay.
So this is not.
The base, yeah, none of that is in the group
That's
center.
here.
I know. Our online map, I don't know if you all used it at all. You can turn the cruise zone on, you can turn the area on, you can go to public works, and then there's also this fader bar. So that you can, see some of that information on your own, or call from the internet, you know, walking through the whole thing.
There we go, this is the map I have.
So that's, that little piece is in that green.
And you have my maps.
Yes, you do.
I got that.
And then you see over on this,
Right.
the green is sewer. A lot of information.
You know, we, being from this county, we had a.
I've never had to work with sewer, we always had sewer.
They want to we also do research, septic systems go through the Department of Public Health. I worked, he was mine for the last for my first half.
We did, we had. Oh. For our hotel, and my dad had this specific, this was actually probably in the eighties, but we were designated. So in all these years, it was one, and that was every year. That we were using, so that we would have this, so we were very lucky to have. We never had to worry about it. They were contractual, significant amount of money for even use this because they had property. For all the.
On the other side of the AFS, so this is the breaking down all these, that each of the top projects and apply. I sent an email to, and then, so when we actually do a sewer bill, that's the flows of the calculation for the, not the flows. The loss of all, commercial is one plus. The number of extra units divided by six, so that now we're.
Yeah, it's, that was the same thing. We had to do fixtures and everything, so. Can't give us a number, we don't have it yet.
But it's true that you're experiencing that, because some people are shocked. This is the number you told me here, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, you didn't have anything built yet, so we can't really count your fixtures yet.
Yeah.
Plus the commercial kitchen and bar, you talked about having to go through and make sure everything is counted and everything is, apples to apples, yeah. That was a 24/7, 28-year operation.
But it sounds like you have the right experience to understand, and honestly, all of
Oh,
that.
yeah,
absolutely,
sure, yeah. And, we're,
the site. Yes.
We've seen the site plan. So that's what the inside of the bedroom will look like. That's the same footprint.
That's what you're talking about.
And the sauna, go out and outdoor reception area. And this is our master bathrooms, groomsmen's lodge, and a commercial kitchen.
As it should.
And I spoke with Mark, he's gonna do the list there. So you can see pictures of the house. We've already, we went through. How do you want to do that? We went in and not realizing we would have to sprinkle the house. Accessible. We went in and completely polished floors, walls, painted ceilings, got all the furniture. And now we gotta go.
So now we're going back.
Just like because my grandfather wanted the legacy for me. It's not paying the bills.
So in the letter for, industrial, it said that there was only a small area for the septic system behind the house.
So the house is here, and he was talking about the septic system field out of part of the farm field, and utilize that area. And we had to kind of do some more soil samples, and we wanted to bring it back over in the middle of the summer. That's not gonna happen right now. So we're really pushing for sewer. And we have to go back now and reinvestigate. They did some soil testing. I couldn't tell you exactly.
Something was leaking, yeah, they got, it was like a ring, where they put water in it and see how much they.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
They're leaking it out. And what's leaking out is.
So this was a market back here where we were working on, but it's already pre part of this lot. Septic field, it's for years and years.
And there's the well.
The proposed well is here, but the existing well is.
And that's all you can see. Does your well change because you're doing it as an offense?
We have to put a new well.
For us, the wastewater treatment plant, it has to meet community standards because the police. Residential well, ag well.
Right now, it's gonna be a commercial. Yeah, that's proposed to go right. Yeah, I've spoken with Rachel about that.
So with the sprinkler, you're gonna have some sort of.
It's, it would be back there. So we have a fire thing. The biggest, ugliest thing you've ever seen, but we put maple syrup inside of it.
And we
Big
had a
letters.
version of green designers, we had 50 cells there. And so when we put maple syrup, we started like, we have the pictures out of it. Like, what do you do? What do you think? Yeah.
Well, we try to do that, but then there are restrictions on height of the Air Force Base. And there's some other restrictions that would allow us to shoot up. Hours tank. Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be.
He's very creative. Like, everything that we think can work.
Oh, that was in Shincotan. So that's more like the press.
For those participants who are joining us by phone, Levy Court is in recess to executive session, and they will be reconvening the committee meetings shortly. Thank you for your patience.
Our old building was, is that what they took that, or it was it was not the auditorium, it was individual chairs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They made it onto the Food Network.
Yes, baked goods, yeah, and we have the island creamery, which is our daughter lives underneath, lives on top of the island creamery. Oh, gracious. You smell them making the waffle cones, and she said after like 2 weeks, she never wanted to have waffle cone ice cream. I'm like, I guess there's too much. She.
Yeah, I think they lied to us.
Yes, they did.
I wrote the training just because they wanted to.
They talked about things they're trying to bring back. Is that like the Polar Express, where we go from Berlin to Snowdon, and they would do that.
I know, so this is being scheduled.
Yeah,
It's all committed. It's all committed. Strange.
because it winter's kind of tough. Berlin does well for a small town like Ocean City and conventions. It's like the sun, winter, you go from the second largest city in the state to really being the second capital for people that live in Ocean City in winter. So it's a drastic thing. We do, golf is good for a while, but out, Ocean City is just like 500.
They stay every weekend, they've got something.
Public works side, very hard when you do that amount of flow from wastewater
Yes, yeah.
or water down to. Grit.
Right, right.
There's a whole cost.
I was just in a house meeting, which is and the access to phenomenal, it's been incredible. Two counties, also competitive to get into seasonal positions, especially
right?
That stuff's still here.
Oh. Let's have a drink.
We're good with this.
Commissioner Angel, are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. We can, thank you. Oops. Yes, we can, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for, get my hand away from that button. Thank you for indulging us for the past 30 minutes or so. That took a little bit longer than what we anticipated. But based upon the recommendation of our legal counsel, item number 1 under planning services has been postponed to a later date, so we will not be discussing anything under planning services committee tonight. Ordinance LC 21-24, reference solar installation. That will be postponed to a later date. And we apologize for anyone that came here tonight to offer comments on that. But like I said, under legal counsel, we will be postponing that. So thank you, folks. Sorry for bringing you out tonight. Okay, moving back up to committee meetings, we'll open the committee meetings. The first item on the agenda is Finance Committee. Mrs. Maston is the chair. I'll turn it over to you, ma'am.
The first item is the property tax exemption for disabled veterans, ordinance LC 21-23, introduced on 11/23/21, and I believe Mrs. Durham is here to talk about it.
Okay, good evening. As you know, the House Bill 214 was signed in to legislation which offered the school tax exemption, just the regular school tax, not vocational tax, for 100% disabled veterans with a 3-year residency requirement. And but that only takes care of the school tax. So I brought forth, or ordinance was introduced for the county to do the same thing and offer a county exemption for 100% disabled, and using the same qualifications and criteria that's used for the school tax credit. So, and I did, so a little background. Currently, the statistics have that in Delaware, there's currently 1,978 100% disabled vets. And out of that, 640 of them were in Kent County, 857 in Newcastle, and 481 in Sussex. They estimate that 75% of those own homes. And right now, we have about 30% of our vets that own homes in our disability program, which is just a reduction in your assessed value. It's not 100% forgiveness or credit for the tax. So based on that, of the 640, I did an estimate of 75%. They said 75% own homes, that would be 480. I used an average assessment of $60,000, which would create $180 currently in county tax, for an estimate of $86,400 if every one of these estimated people applied. That's a high amount, so I don't really see that will be the fiscal no.
It's
But
the high side.
Yes, it is. I would look more into maybe the 50,000 mark. So I just wanted you to have that as a basis of the impact. This goes for a public hearing next Tuesday. Was there any questions or?
Oh,
I'm in favor of this. I thought we already had something like this.
We have the, this is a credit, this is considered a credit off the bill. We have an exemption where we reduce your assessed value by $25,000. and they get an extra 5,000 for 100% disability for a total of 30,000. So it does not give you the same
Thanks.
of tax. I mean, most people still have to pay taxes with that credit, if with the average home being about 60.
So this will supersede that?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it only makes sense. I mean, we have retirees from every branch of the service here, but with Dover Air Force Base being right here in Kent County, it just makes perfect sense to me.
Any other commissioners have any feedback? or
I think
questions?
it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, it wouldn't be prudent for us not to do it when the other two counties are, so it's the right thing to do. And it's time we help pay back those that have given up a lot for us, so.
Anyone in the public wish to come to the podium and speak?
If we have any guests on WebEx, either on the phone or on your computer, if you wish to raise your electronic hand, we'll bring you into the room. *3 on your mobile phone and the raise hand symbol on your computer console.
Commissioner Angel, I believe that you wanted to proceed at this time.
Yes, so I don't have a raised hand on my screen here, so I just wanted to say that it's a little late, but I'm in favor of this also, and would like to see us move forward. So I'm in total agreement with this policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a show of hands, Mr. Angel, and the others in favor of moving it on
Yes.
to consent? I assume 7 up. 6 up and 1 on the phone. We'll adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Public Works Committee. Mr. Howe's chair. Turned over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Goat will be here to explain these 4 different items, and we'll take it from there.
Can you hear me with the mask on?
Yes.
Okay. The first item tonight is a sewer request outside the growth zone. It's the King Cole Farm property. The property of concern is at 1730 Bayside Drive. So Public Works received 2 separate requests for sewer for the properties, and there's a map attached. It's an 11 by 17. So we completed a technical feasibility study for the properties for sewer. One property already has sewer, and the property that is proposed for an events venue currently has an on-site septic system. So with that, like for performing the TFS, we accepted checks. The project is associated with agritourism. There was only just one catch. Legally, there are 4 requirements under the county code for it to qualify for sewer outside the growth zone. The first is a failing septic that cannot be replaced. Second is it's annexed into a municipality. Third is that it's in an employment center, commercial area, or industrial area on the land use strategies map in the comp plan. Or number 4, by majority vote of Levy Court, that it's a significant public benefit. So we entertained the technical piece of sewer, but we sort of missed out on the legal piece. So tonight we have Mr. Jim Dickerson and his wife Anne Marie are here, and they can help tell you about some of the public benefits. They've also there's a letter talking about agritourism and the environmental benefits, and there's a letter from Duffield Associates regarding their on-site septic system.
Mr. Chair, if I could, before we, I guess the property owners are going to address Levy Court, but I just wanted to address what Diana mentioned regarding the code. The provisions of the sanitary code requires for sanitary sewer extension outside the growth zone, one of those 4 criteria must be met. The only one that could come into play here for Levy Court's purposes is the designation as significant public benefit. The others, to to my knowledge, there's not a failing septic system. Whether Dover would annex it, that's not a decision we can make. And it's not in an area designated as an employment center. So really the only decision, I think, for Levy Court is this a significant public benefit that warrants the extension of sewer to the property? And so I just want to make that point clear. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Would one or both of you like to come forward? Anywhere you want.
We can bring more chairs are coming.
Just make sure that mic's on.
Oh, she's got that presentation.
art.
I'll bet she did those, not you, right?
Actually, I did these.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These aren't
Like
worth.
it better
This
if
is
you were
Mr.
wearing
Jim
a
Dickerson again and
Yes.
Anne Marie.
I'm out.
My name is Jim Dickerson. This is my wife, Anne Marie Dickerson, and I appreciate you meeting with us this evening. My wife, Anne Marie, and I, we are seeking your approval for a Kent County Sewer District connection east of Dover Air Force Base, outside of the growth zone. This sewer connection will serve the existing footprint of a soon-to-be remodeled pole barn at 1730 Bayside Drive. Our site plan has been approved for a wedding venue outside the growth zone overlay district. Our property was approved for agritourism and zoned as an agricultural conservation district. Our plan is compliant with the Kent County Comprehensive Plan, and we have a letter of no contention approval from the Department of Transportation. We also have approval from the Kent County Conservation District for non-residential construction with less than 1 acre disturbed. It is our belief that this project will offer significant public benefit to Kent County through enhancing the growth opportunities for local business owners and their employees. We will offer significant opportunities to local florists, caterers, bridal boutiques, rental services, and more. We anticipate our project will generate significant public benefit through tourism income for Kent County, gas stations, restaurants, liquor stores, and hotels. We are creating an opportunity to host a wedding with a sit-down dinner for 250 guests and up to 500 guests for a variety of other types of events. A little bit about my family history. My parents, Sally and Chet Dickerson, designed and developed this property as a testament to my grandparents' farming legacy. My grandfather was the owner of King Cole Canning Company in Milton, Delaware. My father's in-depth knowledge of science and agriculture drove him to invest in improvements on our farm and create a sustainable farming operation. Over the last 20 years, my parents have enjoyed hosting several events for the University of Delaware, as well as many lifetime achievement events for friends and family at our farm. It is our belief that our King Cole Farm wedding venue is the best option for continuing the legacy of our farm. A little bit of background on my wife and I. We come from a 30-year career in hospitality. We developed, owned, and managed the Francis Scott Key Family Resort in Ocean City, Maryland. 240 rooms, 3 kitchens, 2 bars, and 120 coworkers. We sold our hotel 4 days before COVID shut everything down in March 2020. During our career, our hotel was twice awarded on TripAdvisor as a top 25 best for family hotel in the United States, competing with Hyatt, Hilton, and Disney. We are looking forward to bringing our experience in property development, management, and hospitality with a touch of elegance to King Cole Farm here in Kent County, Delaware. We're on a timeline to begin this project as soon as possible. We've already booked 3 weddings for 2023. Your favorable recommendation will allow us to move forward with the critical part of plan review and permitting in Kent County. We are certainly excited to share with each of you the opportunity to experience the significant public benefit of attending an event at King Cole Farm. I appreciate the opportunity for you guys to allow me to speak. Thank you. Any questions?
I got one statement. It's a great place.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead. Do you have something to say?
Hi, this is Al Angel. what a perfect spot for a wedding. We've lost Sheraton, we've lost Dover Downs. All we have is modern Manchurian fire halls. This is a great way for a new venture. I see this as a perfect way of offering something different and new. And at the same time, when we put sewer in from Kit Summit, I had Mr. Hans Neslars look at trying to get it to Pickering. And when the Dover Air Force Base reconfigured their area, we were able to do that. So one property already has a sewer. I don't see why we couldn't add the other sewer to it because it is in the best interest of the public. So I'm definitely in favor of what they're asking for.
Does anybody have any doubt as to the economics that they would bring in? I mean, that seems like it's pretty plausible to me.
I would just have a question. If for some reason, some weird reason, this didn't get approved, what would happen to your event site?
We'd have to put in a septic field,
You have to put a large septic field
large septic field, correct?
to accommodate something like what you're doing.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Angel again, and if it doesn't get voted in, I believe that they should be refunded the second fund for the money they had to put forth for the planning, because really they shouldn't have been done that way, but it is what it is, as Mr. Buxton always says. But I would hope that we would vote this in because it's definitely needed, and it's a great venue.
So you want to either tie in with the county sewer,
Correct.
and if that for some reason isn't accepted, your option would be
To put a septic
a
field.
gigantic septic tank.
Correct.
Do you have any idea how much that would cost?
I'm anticipating it's going to be in the $100,000 range, probably a little bit more than that, $125,000. And it's probably about the same cost for a sewer connection,
Oh, really?
to be honest with you. Yeah,
Okay.
when we're a little bit over a quarter mile to tap into the sewer.
Okay.
So, I echo,
Commissioner? One of the things that we got the sewer to Pickering Beach was because of the echo way the beach is in that area and the flooding. So putting a mound system in or a septic system is not going to be very beneficial for this venue. That's why I would hope the sewer would be better, because we have safeguards in case it does flood. It can't get to our septic facility. So to me, it's the better of the two options.
Mr. Buxton?
thanks, sir. So, in reading the potential to extend outside the growth zone, there's 4 prongs, and 3 of them they don't meet, but they do meet the 4th one. Well, they don't meet. They're able to petition the levy court. The levy court is able to decide in there is the public good. What I like about this, I love the project. I remember Mike, when we changed the language, he specifically said, yes, it is a challenge to empower levy court to make that decision, but that's exactly why you're elected, to make these types of decisions, to have the ability, within reason, when it makes sense, to do this. And for me, after visiting the site and understanding what they want to do, it, without hesitation, makes complete sense. I would like the sewer advisory board to maybe understand that that's the thinking. And the only fear I had was the what if, when you open the door. But I think levy court's pretty clear when they state that we want to look at these things that are going to make the county unique and different. It doesn't mean that we're looking forward to a 150 home application, because that is not what we're insinuating with this move. So there you go.
Our planning director's not here tonight, but I'll ask the county administrator. What kind of pressure will that put on us to develop the area around there if we allow this, in your estimation?
Well, I think what Commissioner Buxton just said is important. If you were inclined to approve this, I think the motion needs to be very clearly and tightly worded around the fact that this particular proposal stands on its own merits as a unique and significant public benefit, and you explain why, and some of the reasons that have been circulated around the table about the unique opportunity it presents for large gatherings, the environment that it will enable large gatherings to be held in are all very attractive, and it would become something that would be unique in the county for sure. My understanding is there are similar venues in Sussex County that are very successful and popular, but this would be an attraction for those types of events that we currently can't accommodate in Kent County. So I think it would have to be crafted a motion that would be specific to that, and I think that would get to the potential. It would dispel any potential for others to just say, well, you did it here, now you got to do it for me for my whatever. And that's not to say you can't, but they have to meet the same kind of test, that it meets your gauge of what a significant public benefit is versus a run-of-the-mill development or something like that that can occur in the growth zone or anywhere else. And I've been to this property, met your father years ago and your mother, and it's a one-of-a-kind property. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah.
I think Commissioner Buxton hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's a political decision, and I think he made an excellent case of why this is a very unique case, and Mike's guidance, craft the language to support it might dispel others from, but we're just talking about a quarter-mile pipe, not 10 miles. And, you know, my concern is you put a large septic system out in a coastal area, you know, it's going to fail. That's how they work. So really, it's a much cleaner, if you will, solution, engineering-wise, and in the business case is obvious. So I'm ready to vote.
All right.
I'm in favor of it only because I'm in a good mood after our win on Sunday.
You're not getting a discount,
I can't
Jody.
believe we went for two.
I know, that was a big mistake.
You're not getting a discount, Jody.
Or something, aren't you?
Doesn't matter, we beat the
Well,
Ravens.
looking over the code, it's obvious to me, and apparently others, that this is a good source of income and, you know, the economic factors. So to me, that kind of qualifies. It confuses matters a little. That is outside of the growth zone, but we have, you know, I don't look at the growth zone the way I look at the Ten Commandments. Okay? And I'm not going to say which ones I broke.
I'm glad.
So don't ask. But do you see any problems that, in particular, that we need to address? You know, maybe something hidden in the bushes.
I think Mike hit the nail on the head, that there's the concern of when somebody else comes and asks a similar question. So it's very important how you all word that motion.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm assuming that, of course, this is a committee meeting. Were we a combined meeting as well tonight?
No.
No, okay, so that if you all are in favor of moving this forward, you all would take the vote at the next meeting. The concern was what Commissioner Buxton said.
Yeah.
What is the precedent that's going to be set? And what's the bar for a significant public benefit? You all get to decide. It's not defined in the code anywhere. It's a determination by the commissioners.
Right. So we want to just pass to the SAB.
Do they need to make a vote on this, a motion, before it goes to SAB?
That was my understanding.
Yes.
That the original motion was to send it.
Well, what you need to decide before it goes on to SAB is whether or not it meets the significant public benefit test by majority vote. That's what the ordinance says. Levy Court by majority vote has determined that an extension of sanitary sewer to a particular area or areas outside the growth zone would be a significant public benefit. There'd be no purpose of the SAB reviewing it and doing all their work without that. They need that decision first.
So my question is, does it have to be a formal vote at a business meeting?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
by majority vote.
So, let me ask you this question, timeline-wise. So this doesn't move to Sewer Advisory Board until we have an official vote up there, but the Sewer Advisory Board doesn't meet until when, anyway, January?
January.
So we're still in good time. Sewer Advisory Board says yes or no, it doesn't matter, it still comes back to us. How quickly could we get it on an agenda? Is there a timeline after that? Is it a January type of action?
After SAB, yes.
So it would look like a January yes or no vote? in
Final
January.
decision, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so I'm trying to think, we could just, put this consent agenda after we take a vote?
I would suggest that you move it to new business.
So we can get the motion in,
Okay.
the proper motion.
All right, well, it sounds good to me. We're here. Our business is to help your business.
Appreciate that.
And so, in view of that, I move that we just move this to a business meeting. And any other stipulations just to be, is that good enough?
Just under new business, and we'll have a motion for your consideration.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Everybody?
Yep.
Alan?
All right, sounds good to me.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Oh, no
folks.
worries.
Go Steelers.
We'll see you again.
Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
Huh? Oh, because of this, she said that she didn't like the
there you
mask
go.
on.
Nice.
I thought they were gonna take the whole project into Newcastle County because of the mask.
Very nice.
All righty, the air system optimization project.
This was a very complicated memo to write, so I'm going to try and simplify it.
I read it twice, it was exciting.
It's difficult. So
That's the part where you avoided prevailing wage.
So we started out with a project at the plant, and then we wanted to add another one at the plant. The plant was nutrient upgrades. And then we wanted to do an air blower system optimization project, and then we wanted to do a generator project, and we lumped it all together for funding purposes. And then along the way, we ran into a lot of problems. So the concept was with the funding for the blower and the generator is that each of them would have an equipment contract, 2 equipment contracts, and each of them would have an installation contract. So 4 contracts total. Can't make it any more complicated, right? The problem is now we've had trouble with funding, trouble with acquiring equipment, and we're on a timeline crunch. What we want to do is combine the installation of the generator into the existing blower installation project. So that's the change order that's before you tonight. We had a discussion with Craig Elias, the county attorney, about how that work was similar. It's a very big change order. But the majority of the work on the blower installation is electrical. The work to install the generator is electrical and requires a concrete pad. So from that aspect, and because there are interrelated pieces, so like the blower install contract is the contract that was set up to remove the old generator. So these are interrelated in terms of function and how you tie into the power and the switch gear. So I'll let Craig speak to that if he has anything additional to say. But what we're looking at as a change order is currently $1,655,065. We're in the process of doing some value engineering, so that number has not been finalized, but hopefully would be lower than that. But with our timing issues, we wanted to make sure we got that in front of you all, and the motion that's been proposed, is worded in the amount up to, because again, we are hoping that it'll come in lower. And we're looking for approval of the change order and authorization for the president of Levy Court to sign the change order.
All right, any questions or comments?
Appreciate your effort,
Yeah,
it's not easy.
that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
And it's a whole lot easier than what I wrote in this memo, right?
All righty, we'll move this to the consent agenda. All in favor? 7 up.
Commissioner Angel?
Oh, I'm assuming Alan's on board. Alan, you with us?
Yes, yes.
All right, got 2 yes.
I see your smiling face. There he is. What's up,
Delay
Santa?
here, the delay.
Sit up.
Okay, so are we ready to proceed to the next item, sir?
Sure.
The next item is a work truck purchase bid award. The advertisement was placed October 22nd and 27th in the Delaware State News. We had a bid opening on November 17th. We only received 1 bid. I'm happy to have 1 bid in times like these.
Nice.
Hertrick Fleet bid a 2022 Ford F-150 Super Cab 4x4 model XLE for $35,760. And we have the funds to buy the truck.
Sounds good.
So we're looking for approval and as worded on the memo.
Yeah. Yeah, this is roughy when you only got 1 bidder. You know.
We think it's the last vehicle available in Kent County.
Yeah, 2 choices. Accept it or just don't buy it. I recommend this goes to the consent agenda. Everybody in favor? Alan,
Yes.
are you? Are you in favor of it? Consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So there it is. Okay, we'll get to whatever later. Okay, next one.
The next item is the Blessing Farm land lease extension. Melissa Blessing, who is the leaseholder, has approached us about extending the lease for a 5-year term. The intent of that is that she's trying to install irrigation equipment, and she needs that 5-year time period to economically recover that expense.
Right.
We've done something similar for the Vineyard Farm.
Yes.
Mrs. Blessing has offered us an increase in rent from $203 per acre to $225 per acre for the second term of the lease from 2026 to 2031. The department recommends the following motion, which is to amend the lease, noting the increase in rent and the change of the time period. And we'd like the president of Levy Court to be authorized to sign the lease documents.
Okay, sounds pretty good. With a name like Blessing, seems like she ought to be a nice person to know. You'll have to introduce me someday.
I have a question.
Mike, were you going to say something?
Well, I think Commissioner Sweeney had a question.
Yeah, so why the increase in rent?
They offer.
Because
Well, that's nice, but
she doesn't want to take heat
just putting,
So traditionally, we bid these leases out. This, I believe, might have also originally been her family farm.
I know.
And so she's tended to be the high bidder on this as well.
What, did we get an increase in rent when we extended the lease on the other farm?
I do not believe we did.
Okay. I don't see any reason why we need to have an increase in rent.
Commissioner Howe?
You recommended it.
Commissioner Howe?
Yes.
I have a question for Diana. Diana, in the second paragraph, it refers to the second half of the lease term from 2026 to 2031, but in the motion it says 2027 to 2031.
The one that I have, it just says extending the lease period to December 31st, 2031.
And increase the lease for payments to $225 per acre for the
It
period
should
20.
be, I believe it should be 2026.
Should be 20, okay, we'll need to
If it
correct.
matches the one, for the motion to match the second paragraph.
So it should be 2026.
Right, but in any case, what we're doing is we're extending the lease for 5 more years. If we have the inappropriate dates, we'll make sure we get the right dates on the lease documentation.
Okay.
Well, the motion needs to reflect the right date. Okay.
So,
So-
we need to amend this motion before we send it up.
So you
We'll
could say
correct
to change the price per acre for a period through 2031, and that would perhaps cover it?
We'll make the correction. If this is going to be a consent item, it'll be fixed in the consent package.
All right, so you take care of that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Alan?
Alan, I'm assuming you're easy
Aye.
to get along with? I think that grunt in the background was him. I don't know.
He said aye.
Okay.
The
Well,
struggle we go through
when you're Aye.
not here.
huh?
He just said two.
you feel our pain when you're not here.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better. Okay, are there any questions or comments about any of these 4 items we just discussed? Yes, sir.
My name is Paul Cartanza Sr. I'm not in favor of the extension of the sewer because here you start again where we're trying to set precedents of trying to get it from point A to point B, and then you have this vast area of land that unless you put a knot in it so tight that nobody can breathe, you're going to run into trouble, or the next committee's going to run into trouble trying to stop these certain little things that come up. I think it's a great idea what they're trying to do. I thought of it myself, but to extend that sewer line out that far, I think you guys are going to really tie up a lot of public issues on this, because I think you're going to open up a can of worms.
Yeah, okay. Well, nobody knows what the future holds, but
That's correct.
it's sometimes we just have to speculate what might happen, and I appreciate you interjecting that thought. However, it's already been approved for the business meeting, and I think it was a good move, and I don't think that your concerns are really going to materialize. But
Well, I wanted in public record that I've made this comment, and I'm just, like I said, if you guys can tie this up to a knot where nothing else will ever happen again, then we're good. But there's other instances that things do change.
that's good. I appreciate you mentioning that. Your comments are very important. Hope for the best.
That's all we can do.
Thank you a lot. No more comments?
If we have any guests on WebEx who wish to address Levy Court on any of the 4 items under the Public Works Committee, press *3 on your mobile phone, and that'll raise your hand, or press the raise hand icon on your computer.
No one on WebEx wishing to speak at this time.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Nobody wants to talk to us. Okay, Mr. President, back to you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Mr. Angel's minimum wage law discussion. I would imagine Mr. Quayle is here.
Thank you, Mr. Cuela.
Sure.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good to see you. Yeah. So today is tonight's just a discussion. We've been working on budget. As you know, you'll get an opportunity to take a look at the county administrator's proposed budget come February and March. And the personnel office submitted a proposal that included an update to the most recently completed pay study. And as you may recall, that was started in 2019, completed in early 2020, but due to pandemic, wasn't able to be implemented until this past July 1st. So you're, I'm sure, wondering why we might be proposing an update to the pay study, and it has to do with the minimum wage. Since the study started a couple of years ago, who knew that there would be some legislative action to increase the minimum wage? And we wanted to just brief the commissioners how that might look and what kind of impact that could have on the county's compensation. So if we could get Mark to bring up our slides, I have some visuals.
There you go.
There you go. So starting on January 1st, the one that's just next month, The minimum wage will increase from $9.25 to $10.50. And that will impact right now about 24 employees. We pay about 24 employees $10 or less. So all of those folks are going to go up to $10.50 on January 1st. And then a year later, it goes up again, and then a year later again, until on January 1st of 2025, minimum wage will be $15. So all of those employees currently making $9.25, 24 plus or minus, we do have a couple of vacancies, will be up to $15, which is about a 62% pay increase.
How many of those are full-time?
They're all part-time. We do, actually, some of them are less than, I'd say about 6 or 7 are full-time right now.
So there's 24, this is speaking about part-time.
No, that includes the 7 full-times we have right now.
There's 24 part-time, 7 full-time.
I'm sorry, 7 is involved in the 24, so total positions 27. But the 24, we're talking about right now on January 1st, there's 24 employees, part-time employees, who will go up.
24 part-time employees that'll go up. There's 7 full-time employees, or I still don't
Yes,
get it.
about 7, yes. So
7.
I guess we're at about 30, yes, about 30 employees.
All right.
By the time we get to the $15.
Right on.
Yeah. Will be impacted by this. So it's a pretty significant increase. It's important for the commissioners to recognize that we do pay a number of part-time, temporary, contractual employees. The minimum wage mostly is our library clerks at the library, which we have quite a number of them, and we pay our rec assistants at the recreation center $10. And in the summer, when we have seasonal grass cutters, they typically are making about $10 as well. This past summer, a bit harder to hire anybody for that. As you know, there have been some challenges hiring folks. It is eased up, glad to say that. We did want to, so you see a dramatic increase, so you're probably curious, well, how does these numbers reflect what we have right now? So if we can go to the next slide. We took a snapshot of, well, that wasn't supposed to be the graph, that was on page 2.
All right.
All right, there you go. That's the current position listing that we have on our website. Anytime, you're welcome to go out to the employee portal and you can see what the entry rates and the top rates are for all our positions. But I kind of just wanted to give you an idea of some of the lower paid ones. So you'll see right now, $15 is about grade 2109, which is D Clerk 1. So conceivably, if the $15 wage increase, minimum wage was effective immediately, your deed clerks would earn about 70 cents more, where right now they're making about $5, $6 more. And obviously that would have impacts as you move up the position list. So I just wanted to give you a kind of a snapshot of where $15 impacts other positions going up the pay ranges. Yes, Commissioner.
So is this to suggest?
Commissioner Hall, could you move closer? We've had someone ask that you speak
sorry about
louder.
that.
There you go. Thank you.
All right, so from this slide here, is one of the concerns that by keeping pace with the state minimum wage rates, it'll create upward pressure so that, the differential now between a library clerk and a permit technician is about $9. And then if we follow that rate, eventually a library clerk's making $15 an hour, then the permit technician may want $21 an hour.
Yes. Yes.
Something like that. Okay.
It creates wage compression, and right now we have, as you know, part of the system that you approved with the current pay study has a 5% difference between each pay range, and all those positions were placed in those ranges by the pay study based on market analysis. So basically, this kind of gives you a snapshot. This is today. Minimum wage isn't going to be $15 on January 1st. It can be $10.50. So, but that would be the situation if it had been $15. So if we go back one more, we tried to project out So I need to go back the slide. There you go. So typically the commissioners give about a 2% on average cost of living adjustment. And that's important for entry-level positions because we adjust the pay range by whatever the cost of living is at you. So if a position was $15 entry-level, the next year, whatever the cost of living adjustment is, it goes up by that amount, and that's new starting pay rate. So if you applied the typical 2%, it's just typical. Levy Court has given as high as 5.5% cost of living adjustments. On a number of occasions, you've given 0 cost of living adjustments, not this Levy Court, but maybe some of you, and certainly earlier ones. So if you applied the 2%, you'll see that we have some positions, a custodian, the mailroom clerk in particular, that just following the normal 2% would be below the $15. So I guess what this chart is suggesting, or this table, is that you really can't COLA yourself out of the situation. Just doing COLA and relying on that to adjust pay rates to stay competitive won't be able to work in this case. It's going to take some dramatic effort, I think, especially if you want to try to maintain the competitive or the market competitiveness for positions, that it may need some professional, and I expect it does need some professional assistance. And that could be as just a request for the current consultant or the most recent consultant to update his figures and do some analysis and do some projections that is taking into consideration these new minimum wages increases that are coming up. Because in 2019, early 2020, wasn't anticipated. Normal market forces were at play when those projections and the design of the system was put in place. So that's the value of this, basically just trying to give you a concept of where we might be if we try to COLA ourselves into being competitive. We go to the very last slide. I thought this graph that Trudina made up for us would give you a sense of where you're going to the 2% and where the actual minimum wage start to intersect. And you'll see the two positions, the custodian position in particular and the archives clerk, significantly below where the minimum wage will be in a few years if just the typical cost of living adjustment is applied to positions going forward. And these would be, the entry rate. Obviously, somebody in the position, if they get a successful valuation, would continue to get their step increase if one of those were approved as part of the budget process. But entry level is where we have challenges hiring people, and certainly we do have had on occasion some retention issues, and that's what the value of the pay study is. It helps with the retention as well as the recruitment for positions. So we just wanted to review that with the commissioners, give you a sense of what's on the horizon and what kind of impact it could have with the commissioners and what you might see in the budget, so you won't be too surprised by my request. Back to you, Commissioner Angel.
Thank you. Any questions for Alan?
Yes, I do. And maybe I missed it in your conversation. This document here applies to the current folks who really are underpaid. There's 31, 24 part-time, 7 full-time. So this gives you a gauge of how you're going to reach that $15 an hour by January of 2025, right?
So yes, the first table shows you what it's going to be, and the second table shows you what the normal progression of our pay increases would be, and you'll see that it's going to fall short of even what minimum wage is.
But now, my question is that current employees that have been here 10, 15 years, and I don't know what people make here, but if they're not already making $15 an hour come 2025, what is going to be the plan for them? And if you've got people who've been here 18, 20 years that are making $17, $18 an hour, which is $3 more than minimum wage, what is going to be our plan for those folks? I know you mentioned step increases, but they're not going to be keeping up in terms of the amount of money we've spent in time and training and just overall experience in those jobs, correct?
That would be.
I mean, that's
my
going to be a
assessment.
concern because once again, you're worrying about hiring people because our wages are not high. But what are we going to do, I guess, collectively in order to keep our current employees here when in fact other areas may be, I don't know how to explain that, but maybe they're increasing their wages quicker than what we are. We're going to have a retention problem then with our tenured employees, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
So our issue is not just really making these people whole and what it's going to look like, but it's the big picture for all county employees.
Yes, it is, and
Okay.
and that's where we would be requesting some funding in next year's budget to hire a consultant.
Okay.
Perhaps the most recent one could give us a really good proposal to basically update and include in his analysis the impact of minimum wage, since they were not able to do that this past time.
Any further questions for Mr. Quayla?
Commissioner Angel, yes. It's not really a question, but I just want to make sure that, I think Alan just stated it again, but the last sentence in the first paragraph of his memo says that we're recommending a study be funded in fiscal year 23 budget. So I just want to make sure that that wasn't lost in the sauce here, because that's really part of the impetus of showing this, is to explain why you want to do this so that you avoid this compression issue. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we're just trying to give you a heads up that that's going to be in there. This is the purpose of it. So when you get the proposed, county administrator's proposed budget, you see a pay study in there. You won't be surprised and say, hey, we just did this. It's really to help deal with the impact and project the impact of the minimum wage moving forward, not only on the low-paid positions, but essentially all the positions in the range.
Understood.
Mr. Angel?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, buddy. I'm not going to get into the details other than say I'm not in favor of the study. I think we have the resources to do it ourselves. I think that I would be in favor of, in fact, looking at leveling up all full-time employees this year rather than a tiered approach, and then utilizing that to recognize the impacts of those just above them. Because I think the world has changed, and the reality is that, you know, a full-time position, even though our benefits are great, at less than 15 probably isn't logical in the world we're living in now, given the government we're in. That's separate from the fact that I think a mandatory minimum wage is $15 is ridiculous because of the obvious things that Commissioner Masson just presented that were not factored in, that are very well stated, that the costs associated with across the board incrementally doing this, it's not hard, it's not easy to quantify what we're getting ready to do. Where will it end? So I want to control our destiny. I don't want to get a $50,000 pay study that's going to give us the same data that we already have in the previous one. I just think we need to figure it out. That's where I am. But that's not speaking to the rest
Any
of the
other
stuff.
questions, Mr. Quayle? Mr. Quayle, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So how much time would it take to actually look at all the positions to do, if we did the pay study ourselves? Because I know how busy you are with everything that's coming at us now. And I know Mr. Buxton doesn't like pay studies.
I've voted for 3 of them. I've had enough of them.
I understand, Eric, but this is changing the whole dynamics of our whole body as far as how we're going to do it. Pay it. And I just want to make sure that what we have to do, the pay study allows us to make sure we're going to have the money there, which I'm sure we will, but this is a lot of work. This is not something simple. And because it's being done in trajectory over a time frame, I think Alan's done a very, very good analogy right now with his staff, just showing us. But I'm sure this wasn't done overnight.
You're right, Commissioner. I think the value of have a consultant helping us out is they're going to be able to do these projections, which I'm not sure that we'd be able to do adequately internally. So they'll be able to project how these, and give you a cost projection as you move forward. So each year, at least going probably to fiscal year 26, since January 1st, 25 will be fiscal year 26, and maybe into 27, you have a plan in place on how you should manage, address the impacts of the minimum wage increases, because the final year is one of the largest increases of the 4 years. So next year, it might be okay. We'll have to, obviously, on January 1st, move all of our 925s up to 1050. But once it gets to the 15, it's a significant jump that last year. So hopefully the consultant will be able to not only address the internal equity between positions and existing employees and the recruitment efforts that will be necessary to hire folks above minimum wage. That's why it's necessary and why we'll be requesting funding for the study.
The other question I have that's part of this too is this something that we should start budgeting now for, maybe half this year and half next year, in our budget, so we're ready for 2023?
What did he say?
This is something we should start budgeting for now.
A pay increase?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $50,000, putting $25,000 in the budget this year, $25,000 in the budget in 2022, so that when 2023 rolls around, we're ready to roll.
Well, we're preparing the, Commissioner Angel, this is Mike. We're getting ready to prepare, we are preparing the 23 budget now. And we're in the 22 budget, and it's not budgeted this year. So at this time. So we're talking about the 23 budget, unless you were talking about finding money. Well, it'd probably just be best to deal with it in the 23 budget cycle, if you know, at this point.
Which will start July 1st next year.
Okay. And you'll have to apologize. I have to apologize to you all because there is a delay between when I say something and the time you guys get it. And so I'm sorry, but that's the way it's working. Is there any other questions for Mr. Cuela?
Alan, Mike again. It's not a question. It's just kind of a statement. It's an interesting economic issue here. As I understand it, the purpose of the increase in the minimum wage is to assist people in the lower strata to have improved buying power in the marketplace. But if everyone raises up incrementally, you haven't accomplished anything, because now you've added more cash into the market, chasing the same number of goods, so it just causes the price of things to go up. It's basic economics. So that is a little bit of a conundrum. I understand what, about the equity and compression, but if we do elevate everyone incrementally, then what have we accomplished?
Well, and I understand what you're saying, Mr. Pettermar, but if I was an employee, it would be, for me, a fairness issue of my employment there. If I'm making 16 and somebody's getting raised to 15, and going from $9.50, that would be, I think, a moral issue for job. Just to throw it out there.
I understand it's a perception thing, but in reality, what I'm saying is I'm not sure it accomplishes what it was intended to do then. That's all.
Well, I have to agree. I was not in favor of a $15 minimum wage because it's not a livable wage still. This is meant to be something to get you into the system so you can start making a livable wage down the road. So, but that's a whole different ballgame what we're talking about, and it's already law, so I'll leave it alone. Anybody else? Any public comments?
Do we have any guests on WebEx that wish to address Levy Court on this matter? Star 3 on your mobile phone and the raise hand icon on your computer.
We have no takers at this time.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Alan. And Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Okay,
You're
no
welcome.
executive session tonight.
Craig, any further need?
Okay, we are adjourned.
Can I ask a question?
Nope. Sure.
Don't we need to do a show of hands to either support or deny?
Just
this case
information.
study? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yep.
Didn't come back up and.
I know, I purposely did not sign.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
No, I don't even.
I had
mind. I'm
questions
just
on.
gonna-
Oh, you do? Okay, so you want me to just say?
Although it's pretty nice.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm used to, or no, whichever.
Okay. Saturday?
I wanted to tell you, the town of Clinton,
Good, because I don't think mine will be.